All right, joining us live now for his weekly take on political news from all levels of government is CTV's political commentator, Scott Reid, a busy man these days once again, Scott.
We're back in action in the House of Commons.
So it's interesting. So we watched kind of that first, back and forth between Poilievre and Carney. Not necessarily an elbows up, gloves off, but it was interesting to watch. How do you think that's going to set up the dynamic now for the next couple of months?
Well, I don't think yesterday is going to be indicative of the rest of the fall because they were, there was some grace, there was a little bit of humor. They're kind of like, they eased, it felt like the early rounds of Ali Frazier, they're just kind of getting their paces. So we'll see. I suspect it'll get a little more partisan, a little more edgy as the fall goes on and we work toward the budget, which people are expecting now in early November, and it's going to be riddled with tough choices. Some cuts, a lot of spending, a big deficit, so lots to come there. But, there's lots more action going on. We know later in the week or next, one of them, the government's going to introduce not one, not two, but it sounds like 3 bills on justice issues, on law and order crime issues. Probably going to tackle bail reform. We'll see how the Conservatives handle that. Do they push back or do they say they'll support it? And then the Prime Minister's headed off to Mexico working on those trade deals. And that happens later this week.
Yeah, because it's that whole strategy the Liberals seem to be taking right now of like, everybody but the U.S. because the U.S. is kind of throwing Canada under the bus in a way. So let's find other trade partnerships and a bit of mending fences, I would think, on this trip, too.
Yeah, I think Mexico is uniquely important for a couple of reasons. One, they're part of this plan to diversify trade markets. So if we can't sell the United States, let's find other places. Asia, Europe, Mexico, sure. But then also they're part of North America with us, right? They're part of this Canada-U.S. Mexico free trade agreement. And we have to assume that Trump is going to come for that with both barrels, trying to basically kill that free trade agreement. We've got to form common cause with the Mexicans. And it is going to be a little awkward, as you say, because only a few months ago we were like, hey, you know what? Maybe to hell with Mexico. We'll kind of deal with the United States and just go it on our own. So now we're going to be trying to mend those fences and strengthen those ties.
Okay, topsy-turvy situation, as it is with the Ontario Liberal Party. I mean, this party has seen, three different leaders since 2020. Now Liberal leader Bonnie Crombie has announced that she plans to resign. So what do you make of this? Where does this party go?
So when you talk to people in the Ontario Liberal Party, and there's only 9, when you talk to them, they say, look, this is terrible news because now we got to start from scratch, or this is great news because this gives us a chance to re-energize the party, maybe be competitive in the next election. Candidates are starting to feel their way out. A couple of people in caucus are starting to sniff out, make phone calls. You've got Karina Gold, federal member of parliament who ran for the leadership. There's talk that she might take a tumble. There's Nate Erskine-Smith, who ran and appeared to be heavily organizing against Bonnie Crombie with the leadership review. He's definitely interested. And other people talk like former Mayor of Barrie, Jeff Lehman. Maybe he's going to take a tumble. So it'll be interesting to see who they recruit. And they're going to have to make a decision about how quickly they move. But I'll tell you this, Doug Ford and his people, they felt that Bonnie Crombie was the leader they wanted in place because they thought they had spent a ton of money trying to connect and communicate with Ontarian voters about who she was, and they didn't want to lose that investment. So they wanted Bonnie where they had her, but the local Liberals, the Ontario Liberals chose differently, so now they're going to have a new leader.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, very quickly, I'm just so curious to know your thoughts on this. The mayoral candidates, I think Bonnie Crombie would throw her hat in to be Toronto mayor.
I would be shocked. I mean, if you're not feeling pretty burned about the political process right now, I would think it might be time to move away.
Okay, so let's talk about municipal politics because we're going to have Stephen Del Duca, the mayor of Vaughan, coming on our program in a few minutes' time. Canceling outright the speed cameras, kind of connected. Doug Ford said he was going to do it. Vaughan pulled the plug already. What do you make of that?
Well, I'm curious to see. I've heard 2 or 3 different explanations. I heard Mayor Del Duca say in the papers that, maybe this is just a cost-saving measure, a relieving measure, if you will, on people because, those cameras ding folks and this will mean that they won't have to pay out of pocket. But how do you reconcile that with public safety? I mean, aren't these speed cameras effective? And how do you defend taking this move if, in fact, they force people to slow down in school zones, in and other places where we know pedestrians are getting hit? So it'll be interesting to see. The big debate, of course, is will Toronto follow the lead of Vaughan? And the answer to that appears to be absolutely not, for 2 reasons. One, the public safety argument. And second, ding, ding. They they
make a lot of money.
really haul in a lot of cash.
Oh, yeah, they do.
All right, Scott Reid, as always, appreciate this. We'll check back in with you next week.
See you guys. I'm going to drive slowly home,
take it easy
very carefully.
Yes,
I don't want to pay any fines.
No matter where you go. Okay,
right.
Scott, appreciate this.